Hello everyone and welcome. So in this video I'm going to share yet another set of tips and tricks in Houdini, maybe diving a bit deeper on some projects, but yeah, you should get away with some new techniques. So the first project I wanted to share with you was this kind of drip effect using flip. I tried with pop fluid but didn't get a good result, so I used flip instead. So let's have a look on how to set up this. So I first modeled the bottle, of course, but that's not important. The important thing is where we set up the flip. So starting with the main body of the bottle, then I'm gonna clip a little bit to create my emitter. So just clip like this, then I'm gonna thicken this just slightly to create a thin layer of points, which I'm doing with the flip source. Here I'm just hiding the surface because I don't want to see the VDB or the SDF. And here I have a thin layer of particles. Then in this wrangle that we will come back in a bit, I'm just setting the velocity of each drip, let's say, and the position of each drip. So, and for that, I'm first from these clipped parts, I'm converting to line the clipped edges and then scattering a few points. So let me maybe change these to points. And as you can see, I'm scattering a few points. In this case, just 9, playing with the seed, with the relaxed iterations, and we get this distribution. Then I am sampling those positions to get the dripping positions. And for that, let's ignore this density. I'm just doing a PC find, or you can do with near points. So I'm reading from the first input, the position, and I'm using the current position plus some noise. As you can see, these positions are a bit distorted because I pre-computed a noise vector and played with the amplitude and so on. So sampling from the current position and some noise, which is set to 0.1, not too much, and then around the radius that I defined, so I can increase it or decrease it, and just getting 1 point. Then I'm computing a mask, so just the length of the points found. If that is bigger to 1, that will create as a mask. So f at mask equals to mask. I can show you how that looks. So let's have a look. That just creates a 0, 1 mask of where those points live, where that radius lives. That's sampling, so we don't need this. And then I'm just computing a random value for each drip, so I can affect the velocity so they don't fall at the same time. In this case, I'm not going to affect velocity, I'm going to affect gravity, so they fall, one goes more slow, the other one goes faster, and so on. So I'm just computing a random value, playing with the seed. I can change the seed, and then I want to make sure that they have at least 0.2, so I don't get values closer to 0. Close to 0, I mean. Then just multiply it by the mask to mask out only these parts. So I want 0 here and some random values around the shape. Then in flip, so let me just run the simulation quickly so I can show you something. So as you can see, this is my simulation, and you notice that we have a very well distributed point cloud, as you can see. And that is achieved by not, as you can see, I'm not using any collisions, any collider, I mean, a static object, because I'm doing that within a volume collision in this wrangle. And I'm also applying the particle separation, so I have this uniform distribution. And so let's have a look on how I'm achieving the collision, because in here I am loading an SDF in the second input that we can have a look. It's basically the bottle SDF. I'm not gonna have a look at it. Oh, I lost the cache. But basically before I cache again, so this is the SDF of the bottle body, and let me cache this again. So here we are, and as you can see, we have this thin layer of particles. That was my goal in the end, and to create those drips, of course. So let's have a look again. I'm loading the SDF that I showed you in the second input, and that's the SDF I'm sampling, so sampling the bottle SDF to create the collisions. Then, in order to move the point that otherwise would be just falling down randomly or with gravity, I am computing the gradient. The gradient is like the normals of that SDF, that bottle body. So I'm computing the gradient from the first input, or the second input in this case, and then just normalize it. Then let's ignore this part. In order to move the points to the SDF surface, we just started the current position of the point, move it along the gradient, and snap it to the surface, which is just grad multiplied by the SDF. In this case, we invert the sign because values inside the SDF are negative, so you usually want to invert the sign in here. Then the other thing I'm doing, if I show you in here, I'm not just snapping to the surface. I want to create some thickness, as you can see in here. And in order to achieve that, I'm creating in here a thickness slider that I can change and fitting a random value between the surface, which is 0.0, and an outer edge, let's say, that I'm calling thickness, which is 0.03. So the points will start at the surface and then move a bit out. And then in here, I'm just making sure that I take into consideration that. Then I'm just saving some attributes that I'm not gonna even use. But yeah, that's basically the effect of snapping the points to the surface. Then in the force, it's simple. I create a gravity and just place the gravity values, not using a gravity node, as you can see, because it doesn't allow for custom vex expressions. And also you can place it in here. You just have to place it after the flip solver, but it's basically force with these values. So I'm creating gravity, and then using that value, I want to make sure my value is over 1. So if you remember the previous values we had on the initial points on the source, so I'm targeting the values that have that are not 0. For that, I just multiply the gravity with the current value, which is that random value we set. Otherwise, if it's a 0 value, we just multiply it by a small value, the gravity by a small value, so it doesn't move so quickly. As you can see, these parts in here that have no value for the drips won't move so quickly. And you can fine-tune these and create another rules if you want. Then I noticed that if I set a variable viscosity between the same boundaries, I can get a nicer dripping effect. So I'm just doing some variable viscosity between a value of 35 and 6, and just slow down everything with some air resistance. This is the same of how is it called? Of pop drag. Yeah, that's basically it. Then in here, as I told you, I'm applying some particle separation. I have receding on, making sure I have enough substeps, and add ID and H particles that might come in handy. And in volume motion, I'm also enabling some surface tension. And don't forget viscosity by attribute. We need to enable viscosity and set viscosity by attribute. So that's basically how I'm achieving that clean look of the trips. Then it comes the meshing and some retiming, but you can have a look at that on the file that I'm going to share on Patreon. But basically I'm just rounding off with some smooth operations and some dilation, and we get this sort of results. So basically this. Just speed up at the beginning and then slow down at the end and mesh the particles. So yeah, that's basically it for this project. So in the last year I modeled this truck, but in the end I didn't do the UVs. I just set up some triplanar shading and to do the trick. But since I wanted to properly texture it, I started to go over the file, which is a bit of a mess, and UV each part separately. And today I wanted to share how I texture this tire, which might look simple but poses a few challenges. So let me have a look in here. So basically I start with this mesh. So let me have a look, not this. So let's have a look here. So I basically started with this mesh and then did the detailing inside, but let's have a look instead of the UVs. And I'm gonna share this part of the model in the Patreon file so you can follow along how I did all of this. So let's do these UVs, which will look something like this. Let's do this live. So let's drop a UV flatten node and let's connect it, and by default this will look something like this. I want to disable manual layout to compute the layout automatically. I'm gonna enter the tool and let me just change in here, and first of all you will be in cuts or sew seams. So I'm gonna pick the middle one, shift A and middle click to cut in here. So it's not right in the middle, but it will do. Then I'm gonna cut in here and you will see a problem that this will create. So if I try now to rectify this, you can see that it won't make a difference. It won't rectify it. even if I try to do angle base, which will be a bit better, but still won't rectify, as you can see. And the reason is that we have some of these edges in here. And the same happens in other UV-based programs like Rism UV. I had the same problem. And I find the solution, which is basically to give Houdini some help, which means we go again to the tool and we look for align vertices in U or V direction. So let's click that and let's Shift A and let's try to select first these ones. So let me select this one and press enter, and this will align it along, and you can come in here and set it to U or V, or you can also shift click on align groups to toggle between U or V alignment. Let's try again. Now I can select this. Okay, shift middle click and press enter, and now we can select this one in here, press enter, and the same for the other side. So let's go a bit closer. So it doesn't want me to select that edge. Let's try like this and like this. And there you go. Now we have rectified everything without rectifying, just by setting some constraints on the UV mesh. And if we look at the UVs, they now look perfectly aligned. And that's basically how I went about UVing all of these. So as you can see, I have a lot of straight rectified groups, and that's basically how I did it. So as the final tip, I wanted to share how I improved the texture projection tool to basically increase by a lot its performance. As you can see, I have this projection in here and it's moving pretty fast because we have a low poly mesh. And if I increase this, let's say to 4, so we get about almost 1 million points. And if I drag, as you can see, the performance is still there. I just need to move it, grab it, and if I move it, everything should work just fine. But in the previous version, which I have a demo in here that I'm going to share on Patreon, if we try to move this projection, as you can see, it's still pretty slow. So how did I improve this? So basically, before I was drawing a point on the mesh and then sampling its normals, the normals of the mesh. And that UV sample, I tried with Nearpoint, I tried with XYZDist, I tried with PCFind, and all gave about the same performance as UV sample. So what I did in the end, since I'm doing an intersection on Python, so if I go to edit this viewer state module, and if I look in here to the intersector, so since I'm using an intersection already, I can sample not only the position to where I place the point, I can use it also to sample the normal by doing self.geointersector .normal, which is another attribute that the intersect function in Python gives us, or the geometry intersection. So that way I can feed that normal to a parameter that I'm doing in here somewhere. So self.normal in here. So I have an hidden parameter in here that has the normal that I'm sampling for each point. That way I can make the tool go fast because I don't need to do that UV sample. And if we look inside, as you can see, where I was sampling the normals, I'm just copying an attribute and no longer sampling the normals. So I'm going to share this setup that basically mimics the texture projection tool and strips down the core parts and also everything that is happening on COPS. So yeah, you can have a look and explore on your own. And if you want to get the updated version, you can do so on my Patreon. It's a free upgrade, of course. Or if you want to grab it for the first time, feel free to do so. So yeah, guys, that's basically what I wanted to share today. Hopefully you'll get away with some new techniques, and let me know if you enjoyed this video. See you next time.